Hello viewers, myself Dr. KSR Radhika, working as Associate Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, SRKR Engineering College, Bhimavara. Now, in this session, I am going to discuss the topic Divide and Conquer in the subject Design and Analysis of Algorithms. So, in this session, first of all, we are going to see what is meant by the divide and conquer technique. So, first of all, we will see what is meant by divide and conquer technique. So, whenever if you want to solve some complex problems, so this is a technique that is generally used in our real life. So, for example, if you have some major problem in your around you, so then what you will do, so you will divide that problem into small problems, and each one will try to get the solution for that particular problem. So finally, after getting the solutions for different sub problems, then you will try to combine the solutions for the sub problems, and then finally you can get the solution for your total complex problem. So the same, whatever real life we are using, the same strategy is also used in our in our subject also. So that is divide and conquer technique. So mainly it involves three steps. One is called as divide, another one is called as conquer, and another one is called as combine. So what is meant by divide is, so if first of all what you will do is, you will check whether the problem is big or small. If it is small, so that means the word small indicates that if you get the solution directly for that small problem, so that is, it is a very easy problem, so you can solve it directly. So then we say that it is a small problem. So if the problem is small means directly you can get the solution. No need to use this particular technique also. That is your divide and conquer technique, not necessary. Okay. So that's why what you will do is, suppose if your problem is not small, then what you will do is, you will divide the problem into k sub problems. You will divide the problem into k sub problems. So once you have divided the problem into k sub problems, then again the k sub problems, each sub problem will be, again you will check whether each one is small or not. Suppose if it is small, suppose if you have divided your problem into k sub problems, that is k1, k2, k3, so on, some kn, some kn. Okay, so then what you will do, suppose you will check for the k1, that is the first problem, first sub problem. So now again you will check whether k1 is small or not. So if k1 is small, so then directly you can get the solution. So suppose if k1 is not small, if k1 is not small, so again recursively, again you will divide the k1 into some p number of subproblems. Okay, so like this the process continues. So then again you will check for which problem? You will check for P1 problem. So you will check whether the P1 subproblem is small or not. If it is small means, then you can get the solution directly. Suppose again if the P1 is also not small, so then again recursively it will be divided. Suppose if P2 is small, so then what happens? It will stop there. The division process stops there. Directly you can get the solution to P2. So after dividing the problem, so then you have to get the solutions for the subproblems. That step is conquer. So solve the individual problems. If it is a small problem, otherwise you will apply again the divide process. That is this step. So that means we have divided the problem into small problems, and also the second step is what? We got the solutions to the small problems. So the last step is combine. So here what you will do is, so you have divided the problem into small problems. So it may be 1 level or 2 levels or so many levels. So finally finally you got so many small problems. So for those small problems, in the conquer step, you have solved all the small problems. That is, you got the solutions for all the small problems. So after getting the solutions for all the small problems, then what you will do is you will combine the solutions to all these sub problems, that is to all these small problems. So for example, if p1 is divided to some for example, if p1 is divided to some r1 and r2, so both r1 and r2 are small, then what you will do, you will combine the solution of r1 and r2 so that you can get the solution for p1, isn't it? So next what you will do, similarly you will combine the solutions of p1 and p2 and so on like that. So then you will get the solution for k1. So like this, if you combine the solutions of all the case, that is k1, k2, so on like that, so then you can get the solution for your total complex problem, that is from where you have started. So the third step is what? Combine the solutions into the sub problems. You will combine the solutions of the sub problems into a solution to get the original problem until you get the solution to the original problem. So this is the method divide and conquer technique, how it will be used for getting the solutions to the different complex problems. So divide and conquer strategy is naturally expressed by recursive algorithm. We divide and conquer strategy recursively on subproblems until the subproblems are converted into small problems. So why we are using here recursion? I told that first initially the main problem is divided into, for example, some k1, k2, so on like that. So then this k1, k2 is again divided into some p1, p2, so something like that. And then again this p1 is divided into r1 and r2. So that means this process should be done recursively. Until when? That is, the division process should be done recursively until the problem becomes small. That is, for example, whatever I told now, here r1 and r2 are small. So that's why what happens? So until then it will be divided. For example, if p2 is small, so there itself it will stop. And after the division process is completed, so after the getting the solutions process is also completed, then what is that we have to do? We have to combine the solutions. That is, again, that is also done. If you use recursion, that is done. So that is, while in the division process, the stack will be increasing. That is, step by step it will be increasing. And while combining, first r1 and r2 will be combined. So next, that is, whenever you are dividing, r1 and r2 is the last step. But while combining, what will happen? R1 and R2 will be combined first because it will be on the top of the stack. So after combining R1 and R2 solutions, you will get the solution for P2, P1. So and similarly, you got the, for example, if you consider you got the solution for P2 also. So then what happens? Then again, P1 solution and P2 solution will be combined. So then you will get the solution for K1. So next, after combining the solutions of all the case, then you will get the solution for your original complex problems. So these are all called as these everything can be, all these things can be done if you use recursion. So if you use recursion, the process becomes very easy. So this is the control abstraction for divide and conquer algorithm. So control abstraction means just it is the general method for control abstraction. It is the general method for control abstraction. If you say general method or control abstraction, both are same. So that means for any problem, you can use this algorithm for getting the solution. So the algorithm is called as D and C. D means divide and C means combine. So algorithm D and C of P. So here P is a problem. P is a problem. So if p small of p, so I told that first of all you should check whether the p is small or not. So if p is small, then what we are doing, we are directly returning the solution of p. S of p means solution of p. So you will get the solution. If it is not a small problem, then it comes to the else part. So after coming to the else part, so then what we are doing? The first step is division, dividing the problem. So divide P into smaller instances, that is smaller subproblems, P1, P2, so on, Pk. So after the division process is over, so again you have to check for P1. So again you have to check whether P1 is small or not. So that's why for that one, what you are doing? Again you are applying the same algorithm recursively. That is D and C for P1. So if it is small means again you can get the solution. If it is not small means again these steps will be same for P1 also. So like this the process. So that is apply D and C to each of these subproblems. So that is this is the process of recursion. So that is for P1, P2, for all the subproblems again you are checking whether it is small or not. So if you want to check means again you have to apply the same algorithm. So that is with these two steps the total division process is over, and here we are also getting the solutions to the subproblems also if they are small. So finally what we have to do? We have to combine the solutions of your subproblems, and then finally you can get the solution for your complex problem. So that's why what we are doing, return combine of D and C of P1. So here you are getting the solution. So if it is small means you will get the solution directly. If it is not small means again it will be divided into subproblems. So that's why you are combining the result of D and C of P1, D and C of P2, so on like that P. So once the the recursion process totally completes, so you will get the solution for your final problem, that is P. So this is how the general method works for the divide and conquer strategy. So now we will see how to analyze the divide and conquer algorithm. So for analyzing the divide and conquer algorithm, so mainly we have two steps. First of all, suppose if the problem size is n, and if n is small, then directly we can get the solution for our problem. That is without applying D and C algorithm. So that we will assume it as some t of 1. So that is some constant time. So we assume it as some constant time. So if the problem is small, no need to apply DAC. Okay, D and C. Suppose if the problem is not small. So that is if the problem P is not small. If the problem P is not small, then what you will do? So you will divide the problem into k subproblems. That is of size of here n is the size of P. So then the subproblem size will be n1, n2, so on nk. Each of size 1 by b, where b is a constant. What does it indicate is, for example, suppose if your problem is sorting of numbers. So then what you will do? So for example, if sorting of numbers is for example, if n is greater than, suppose if n is equal to 1, then we can say that that is the problem is small. Why we are saying n is equal to 1 means the problem is small? Because suppose if you have a list of only one element, can we say that it is in sorted order? Yes, we can say that it is in sorted order. So that's why what we will do. So in that case, we say that t of 1 is equal to 0 because it is some constant time. We say that it is 0 because it is already sorted. But suppose if n is greater, if n is equal to 2, then we say, then what we can say? Then also we can say that you can get the solution in constant time. Then also we can say that the problem is small. So that is, for example, if you do one comparison between those two numbers, so then just you can arrange, isn't it? So like that, depending upon the problem, you will decide the level of small. Suppose if n is not small, That is, if it is large, for example, if the n is equal to 10, so then what we have to do? Definitely we have to divide the list into sublist. So for example, I have divided the list into two halves. So then what will be the n1 value? Suppose if n is 10, then my list is divided into two parts. That is, n1 will become 5 and n2 will also become 5. Okay, so that is, here it indicates that the b value is how much? 2. So that is 1 by b. That is, it will be n1 will be 5 and n2 will be 5. So that is, suppose if the list is divided into three parts, so then we can say that the b is 3, like that. Okay, so hence the time required to compute the given problem. The time required to compute the given problem is, it is given as, suppose if it is given as g of n. So this g of n is if n is small. So if n is small, directly you will get the solution. So this is the time required to get the solution directly for your small problem. Otherwise, if the problem is not small, so then what you are doing, you are dividing the problem into k subproblems. So that means you can say that T of n, you can say that it is the time required for solving n1. Similarly, time required for solving n2. Similarly, time required for solving nk. So on like that. So that's why it can be given as T of n1 by b plus n2 by b plus n3 by b, so on like that, nk by b. So this is how it will be divided. So next, Fn is, it is the time required to combine the subproblems. Plus, it is the time required to, so you got the solutions here. And Fn is what? Another function which gives the time required to combine all the subproblems. So this is the general analysis of divide and conquer technique. So by using that particular analysis, you can write the recurrence relation for divide and conquer technique. The time complexity of many divide and algorithms is given by the recurrence relation of the form. So T of 1, when we are saying that it is small, if n is equal to 1. This depends upon the problem. Okay. So next, we are giving the generalized form. That is A. A means how many number of times. That is how many number of times your problem has been divided. So T of, so here we can get, so some A number of like that. Okay. So A T of n by b plus f if n is greater than 1. So here A and B are constants and we assume that n is equal to b power k is called the general divide and conquer recurrence relation. So using this, you can write the recurrence relation for any particular problem that is using the general method or the control abstraction of divide and conquer technique. So generally we will solve the recurrence relation using substitution method. Substitution method means what? So you will be continuously substituting the values and you will simplify to get the final solution. So for example, so here our recurrence relation is what? Tn is equal to a t of n by b plus fn. So consider a is equal to 2, b is equal to 2 and t of 1 is also equal to 2. For example, this is all assumptions and we are saying f of n is equal to n. So then how you will get this T of n recurrence relation? T of n is equal to, for A you will substitute 2 and for B you will substitute 2 and for f of n you will substitute n. So that's why you will get 2 T of n by 2 plus n. So now you will also assume that n is equal to 2 power k. So 2 power k means k is equal to how much? It is log n base 2. So now by substitution method, what you will do? So you got for the complex problem. So again, this subproblem may be again divided into another subproblems, isn't it? So that's why here what you will do is for this expression, in the place of t of n by 2, again you substitute n is equal to n by 2. So then what happens? This 2 is placed outside and then you will get 2t of n by 2 by 2. So it will become n by 4 plus, in place of n by n you should place what? Again n by 2. So you have placed n by 2. So next plus this n is written as it is. Okay, so now you open these brackets and try to simplify this one. So 2 into 2 it will become 4. 4t of n by 4 plus this will become 2 into n by 2. So 2 will be gone. So that's why you will get n. So n plus n. So that's why you got 2 square plus, we should generalize the equation. Okay, so that is 2 square t of n by 2 square plus 2n. Similarly, again you substitute in this place, again you substitute in the place of n, again you substitute n by 2. So in this expression for t of n by 2 square, you have to use the same expression, but you have to use n by 2. So that's why this 4 will be outside. For this one again you substitute this expression. So t of n by 2 by 2 square. So it will become n by 8 plus, for n you have to substitute n by 4. So that's why you will get n by 4 here. Plus this 2n. This 2n is written as it is. So is equal to, you simplify this equation, you will get 8t of n by 8 plus 3n. So it will become 2 cube t of n by 2 cube plus 3. So like this, if you substitute for k times, then what will be the expression? So you generalize the expression. That is 2 power k t of n by 2 power k plus kn. So is equal to, so 2 power k will become n. So we have assumed here. So now suppose if you divide the list so on like that, half, half, half. Suppose if your n is 8, so first it will become 4. Then again if you substitute again n by 2, so it will become 2. And again if you give n by 2, it will become 1. So that's why you got t of 1 plus. So here how many times you got? N plus 2n plus 3n plus so on plus kn. So it will become what? It will become, so this n is as it is. So this k becomes log n base 2. So this is. So now it will become, so for t of 1, how much we have considered? 2. So that's why t of 1 became 2. So 2 into this n plus n log n. So when compared with n, anyway 2 is constant, and when compared with n and n log n, n log n grows faster than n. So that's why we say that t of n is equal to equal of n log n. So like this you can solve the recurrence relations for any problem. So thank you for watching my video. If you like my video, please like, share and subscribe to our channel.